Titling a character in a movie or TV show is always difficult. For efficiency and simplicity's sake, it would be great if all of our protagonists could be named Throb, huge protagonist, and Shaniqua likes Daniel a lot, and all of our villains could be named Elvira hates dogs and Chad, but things don't work that way. There are rules to naming fictional characters. It just so happens that all of those rules are stupid. When BioWare had to come up with a name for the main character of Mass Effect, they could have taken it in a million different directions, from Hugh Man to Bald White McWhite. But then they apparently noticed that their protagonist sacrifices and later resurrects himself to save the universe from a race of immortal horror bots, so they simply decided to name him Commander Shepard. You don't need to be a biblical scholar to notice the similarities between that and the Good Shepherd, the biblical street name used by Jesus Christ. But hey, guy sacrifices himself, gets named Shepard. That's cute, but it probably only happened that one time, right? Wrong, asshole. Guy who had to sacrifice himself to save people? Sounds like John Connor from the Terminator franchise, another savior of humanity who just so happens to share the same initials with the Son of God. Or John Carpenter, the alien who dies, resurrects, and saves humanity in the day the Earth stood still, mainly because Christ Substitute isn't technically a real name. Then again, neither is Jericho Kane, and yet that was the name chosen for Schwarzenegger's character in End of Days, where he saves the world by dying in an epic battle with Satan. Or how about Jack Shepard, the dude who sacrifices himself so everyone else in Lost can live, except all of those many people who died. By naming their character some variation of Shepard, or JC, writers are basically spoiling their own movies because Jesus-type characters are almost always destined to sacrifice themselves at some point. It happened with Stu Shepard from Phone Booth, who starts out as a jerk but by the end of the movie is trying to take a bullet to save the lives of 2 innocent women, and Bruce Willis's James Cole in 12 Monkeys, who ends up getting shot as he tries to save the world from a deadly virus. But what happens if a villain is named Shepard? You shout at your screen, not knowing how computers work. To add to your technological confusion, I'll tell you. When you name a villain Shepard, it almost guarantees that he'll be the vilest type of criminal imaginable, because an evil Shepard is really just another way of saying anti-Jesus. That's actually a pretty spot-on description of Art Shepard from Desperate Housewives, pedophile, Jack Shepard from the movie Frequency, serial killer, and Tony Shepard from the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, who is so cartoonishly twisted, he f***ing sells children's organs on the black market. Really, the only way for that character to somehow be more evil is if his or her first name was a series of spoilers for Game of Thrones. Hey, speaking of Game of Thrones spoilers, there are weapons in Game of Thrones. Speaking of weapons, when Luke Skywalker knighted Leia and Han's daughter, Jaina Solo, in the Star Wars Extended Universe, he gave the brave warrior the title Sword of the Jedi. Nerd! Oh my god, did I just bully myself? Jesus Christ. I mean, Jericho Connor. Shit. I legit forgot. Which is the real JC at this point? The one that we all like. Anyway, those characters and other good guys like Swordmaster from Afro Samurai, the Swordsmith from Heroes, were named after weapons which we associate with nobility, honor, and bravery. But when you weren't looking, pop culture has decided to assign more arbitrary qualities to weapons and the people named after them, proclaiming that while swords are good, hammers are villainous dickheads, and blades are either pure evil or anti-heroic. For example, in the awesome Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, Captain Hammer is a character who, while the hero of the town, is clearly the villain of our story. And also, the hammer is his penis.
The hammer is my penis.
Which actually puts him in the same category as Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2, whose only role in the movie was to be A, evil, and B, a total dick. See also the fact that Hammerhead is both a villain in Spider-Man and Dick Tracy, and that Mr. Hammer is a bad guy in Batman Arkham City. And, if I'm stretching, MC Hammer. He stole a lot of those songs. Uh-oh! I'm pretty sure something traumatic must have happened between every comic book writer ever and their doctor, considering how many comic book villains have doctor either in their name or on their resume. Don't believe me? Look at DC's villains, Dr. Light, Dr. Phosphorus, Dr. Savannah, and a big portion of Batman villains who sport PhDs, Hugo Strange, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, the Scarecrow, etc. On the Marvel front, you have iconic bad guys like Doctors Octopus and Doom. But what's really interesting here is that when Marvel Comics have superheroes with doctorates, the characters almost never refer to their proper titles. Mr. Fantastic has a doctorate, as does Tony Stark. But do they bring it up? Big Doctor No additional villain. It would be easy to chalk all of this up to our fear of progress and technology, which can be used for evil in the wrong hands, like the ones of the mad scientist Dr. Rotwang from Metropolis, or Dr. Blight from Captain Planet. But then there are movies like The Princess and the Frog and its villain, Dr. Facilier, who isn't even really a doctor. He just calls himself that because Disney hates doctors too? Is it because they wouldn't freeze your brain, Walt? Get over it, you're dead. On the other end of the moral alignment spectrum, you have military captains who all seem to be upright, honorable, and solitary heroes. Many comic book superheroes can attest to that, like Captain America, Captain Atom, or Captain Marvel. In TV land, there's Captain Jack Harkness from Doctor Who, Captain Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce from MASH, and Captain Kirk, the last of whom actually gets killed in a fight with the evil Dr. Soren in Star Trek Generations, which might not have happened if Kirk had been a colonel, or a doctor, or Colonel Doctor, like in Scrubs.
Can't touch this.
Naming villains is hard because as much as you'd like to name your bad guy Gun Death Punch Facenstein, there's always that boring adult voice in your head telling you to maybe spend more than 5 minutes thinking it through. But if you're in a hurry, you can thankfully just go with a name that has mal in it. Call it a day. Mal comes from the Latin malus, meaning bad or evil. Fictional names starting with mal are the easiest way to let the audience know that your character eats orphans and poops them out in the shapes of tiny swastikas. It's most often seen with fantasy characters like Maleficent, the demonic sorceress from Sleeping Beauty, or the Satan-esque Malbolgia from Spawn. More recently, you have the Malfoys from Harry Potter, who are, we're all adults here, they're wizard Nazis, they're Nazi wizards. And Malekith, the Accursed, whom you might have seen trying to kill the god of thunder and the very notion of subtle writing in Thor 2. The world of science fiction also has no shortage of evil Mal characters, from the Rancor Tamer in Star Wars called Malakili, the space Nazi in Star Trek Enterprise was called Malak, and the horn guy in Phantom Menace was called Darth Maul, which Maul is close to Mal, but even closer to Maul, which is also a violent and terrible thing. Mauling. Like what bears do. All of which leads me to my ultimate conclusion, that if you ever see a fictional villain named something like Dr. Mallory Blade Shepherd with 2 P's, just assume that she starts each day with a breakfast of fresh infant spleens and battery acid, and will continue to do so until Captain John C. Shepherd Christ kills her with a sword, like a crucifix sword.
Roll sound. Roll cameras. And action.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you liked it and you want to see more videos like it. If you didn't like the video, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, and a message will be sent to me saying that you didn't like it, and I will feel really bad, so you will hurt my feelings. Just, again, subscribe if you liked it, or if you want to hurt me, click subscribe, and that'll work. Thanks.